letting the live stream get going. Just bounce with me. It's fine. Let's make sure that. Not now. Let's make sure we got audio. Got audio? Yeah, we got audio. That's nice. Excellent. Excellent. Always love it when we don't have hiccups coming out of the gate. Hope you're doing well where you're at. It's relatively light morning, and had some meetings jump in the way, but the good news is you're here, I'm here. We've got Bren in with another version of her. She's applying her visual designs to the homepage of her Fresh Market project, and we typically run through this. You know, we want to do some preference testing, get a feel for what's working, what's not working when we're trying to sort out, okay, what's the brand direction that we're going to go for a new project. And Bren's really at this first pivotal moment. She's done a little color work. She's picked out some typography. She's gotten some input from the group. But now what we really want to do is we want to jump in and take a look and say, hey, what can we do to produce something that gives people who are giving us feedback on the visual design, how far can I push things and really offer up different solutions for people to choose from. So what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to take a look at where Bren's kind of gone, and I'm going to make a few suggestions on how this can be pushed further. So without further ado, let's jump in. And yeah, okay. I just want to make sure I was on the right screen. Okay, so we're in the Figma file, and the first time through, I don't think it was fully kind of understood, like how far we can go with this. Like, we've got 3 copies of the same basic design. So like, we've quashed this down, and Bren's begun to expand on this and taking it a few different directions. One of the things I noticed is just like off the top, like everything is basically fitting into the exact same shapes. And I my worry is that, if it doesn't fit the shape, I can't do it. I can't consider some other option. So the first thing I would do is like, okay, let's flip this around. Let's and there's certain things you can do and you can't do. So for instance, like with this, like there's no way I'm going to ever like suggest, flip that photo upside down. Like, why would you ever do that? But this option down here is kind of interesting. I wonder if there's some sort of different presentation that could be coming into play with something like this. Again, I didn't pick the images, but I am kind of wondering, like, does this presentation have to be like that? And also, like, there's this background. Like, could you just pick up the green? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest that we take a closer look at this one. To the point that what I really want to do is I want to come down here and I just want to copy, and I'm going to make a copy of this, because let's just rip this one apart, okay? We're not ripping it apart because it's bad. We're ripping it apart because we want to see, like, well, how much further could we go with this? So what we have here is, okay, so it looks like it's like a flipped image. Okay, well that's good to know. I want to rotate this, just to kind of get a better sense of how we might be able to, and let's crop it. And by crop it, I mean let's move this around. It's kind of interesting. It's shot from a pretty unique perspective. I'm not fully certain that I'm really seeing all of it. But the idea here is, like, what if we like came through with this, and now I'm just gonna grab everything else that's down here and say, okay, you know what, you move down. I want to do more with this And I'm actually gonna pull that aside. I just want to look at this shape. Okay, so it looks like it's that. You know what's interesting? I wonder if you know, let's play this a couple of different directions. Let's first look at it. Let's look at it from this side. I don't want to stretch it. Let's just adjust the crop. You know, just pull it down. And now, in here on the inside, you know, I want to add a fill, and that fill is going to come from, let's just make it green, and now let's adjust the direction of it. I don't necessarily need that. Let's just go transparency on that. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna say just give me the green, and let's let's just make it solid. Yeah, let's make it solid. Oh, well, that wasn't exactly what I was looking for. But that's pretty close. Actually, I can just pick up the other green, and well, that wasn't exactly what I was looking for. Yeah, I want to maintain that transparency. Oh, well, that makes sense. Sorry, I was struggling there, not quite understanding. I just need to drop it down. Okay, there. That's a little fairer, and that gives us, now we know where the edge is, and that kind of takes care of the filling out of that space. But it also provides us the opportunity to kind of take this in a different direction. And so now I could come over and, you know, we could flip this direction, and, you know, again, and I want to make this perfectly clear, there's nothing wrong with the original design that Bryn had. I just want options. I want options on the table. So skip the weekly grocery run, and then let's switch that alignment over there. And there will be people right away who are like, Chris, I thought you said we should never write align typography. And you're right, you should never write align large amounts of typography. But this is not a large amount of typography. This is a few words. So there's that. We also are running into some potential accessibility issues. So this is where I would look at it and go, should this be white? Maybe. That might actually even be worse. So this is a situation where, should it be black? Probably black. Again, we'll want to bust out Stark and take a closer look at that. And you know, you end up with something like this. Now, when we look at this, you know, when you look at this and compare, like, let's get rid of the sidebars. Like, now we have, at least we have a design that's forcing us into a different solution, rather than saying, okay, the image is always to the right. All right, and you know, whether this ends up being the solution that's chosen or not, I don't care. I just want image. I just want options, right? So options is the key. That's what we're going for, and this is one way to kind of work our way there. We're forcing it to go deeper. You get the idea. What else could we do with this? And again, I'm just taking the same basic shape and saying, okay, well, what if we, you know, and I'm just kind of wanting to better understand how this shape is constructed. Let's get the options back here, and let's flip this around. Let's go and say, okay, well, you know what? Interesting. So now I'm going to go tall. And you may be wondering, hey Chris, what are you doing? And I oftentimes, just full disclosure, so am I. I'm wondering the same thing. I have no idea what I'm doing. So now I'm flipping it to the bottom, and I'm just going to scale big. And you're like, okay, Chris, why are you scaling big? Like, shouldn't you go find a better image for that? And the answer is like, yeah, I could. I could totally go find a better image for this. One thing I want to look at is, like, do I need this color in the background up here? Should I allow this to just, should I just allow this to go up behind that? Should I say here, this is just going to multiply? Like, how is that, how is this holding? Okay, here's the background. If I say fill, okay, I've got to fill. If I say multiply, like, why is that? Seem like, okay, so this navigation is up here. And there's a weird little rectangle. I'm going to just hide the rectangle. Okay. No, I don't want to hide the image. Oh, never mind. I'm hiding the wrong things. I'm interested up here, and I want to hide that. Okay, let's keep that. Where is this background coming from? Oh, it's weird. Okay, so there we go. The main thing I was wanting to do is just, like, can I get some color back here? So let's just put this on normal and say, okay, fill, make it white or something. Okay, so that's 100% white, but for some reason it's not. It's like the entire shape on pass through. Oh, it's on multiply. Okay, so we put that back to normal. Then we come back down here and we say, hey, you know what? I want this normal, but at 40%. So now I can kind of see through it. But I'm still allowing that to go all the way to the top. I could still come in and edit this image and say, oh, hey, you know what? Let's crop it and let's bring these down. And so now the image is just, you know, we can come in and we can colorize, like this says logo and that's shop, and there's all these others. Well, I don't necessarily want that. I want to get the actual links, and this is probably where I should just be going in and adjusting the component, but I'm not exactly sure what I'm designing here yet. I'm kind of workshopping. So when you're workshopping, you just workshop. You don't go through and adjust every little thing to a different design that you're not sure if you're going to use. That looks really weird. Has that got like a stroke around it? Oh, there's like two of them there. That's bizarre. Okay, so let's like figure out why there's two of them. Okay, so where's home? Oh, okay. So there's all the sorts of little doodads in here. I'm not going to worry about that for a second. What was it? Oh, that's the right one. There's like a weird little home coming in from somewhere else. I got to find that real fast. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Let's just see if it is it part of this. No, it's not part of that. So let's just get rid of this. Okay, and then we'll bring home back here and let it hang out. Okay, so you get a general idea. Like there's some more work that needs to be done there. But now we've got this, you know, skip the weekly grocery run. And it's like, well, what's happening with that? Well, you know, we could come through and say, oh, well, in this case, we're going to center it. And we're going to, you know, and this kind of gets back to the original design that you had, except, you know, we could drag this down and move this up, and now let's skip the weekly grocery run. And of course, this is where I come back in. I say, oh well, you know, I want this crop to go all the way to the top, and now I'm going to add a color, and this color from the top, this is going to be the, well, first of all, we're going to limit this to where it's not faded, and then we're going to pull that color back in, and of course we're going to flip this around, and we're going to focus on that second one and drop that opacity down. Right? Okay. Got this linear version. Why is that not showing up? Is it behind? Interesting. There's like something up with this shape. So the linear is there. It shows up there. Although it's got a weird little fade to the side that I've got to attend to. But I couldn't see it in the other. There's like something back there and I can't figure out what it is. And this is where working with shapes can get you into trouble. Okay, so that's the background, and this is, what's this shape over here? Okay, so let's get rid of those. Button primary, okay, that's secondary. This is the hero, but it's not. I don't really understand what's going on with the shape. It's like there's got to be some other thing in the way, like that's hiding it. Either way, let's get back in here and just focus. Because our main goal here isn't to land on perfect or the answer. It's just to come up with options. Like, is that a satisfactory option for this design? And if it is, great. If it's not, fine. But you want to put something other than 3 designs that look exactly the same in front of people, right? So whether it's flipping something, taking it from the other side, taking it from the bottom, like, and you know, we could just flip this entirely upside down and go the other route, actually, and that actually might even work better. Like now we've got this falling basket of things, and this ultimately, you know, for those of you that are following at home, this ultimately is kind of how I go about, you know, discovering, okay, what are the other directions that I could go with something. Is I begin to, oh, it looks like I flipped that up. Yeah, I flipped that upside down with it. Doop. This is how I begin to sort out, okay, what are the other things that I can do with this design. And you know, here I've got my image. We could just drag it down, and you know, you've got this basket of stuff falling from the sky, and you're like, Chris, that's crazy. Why would I ever want to do that? And the idea, again, it's like I'm just looking for options. I'm looking for a greater display of concepts that we could possibly use, rather than just presenting the same design over and over again. So if we've got that, we take it a different direction. Then we, you know, come back down and, okay, how it works. That's great. Like, put the spacing there. Then we get down to here, and this is kind of interesting because you know, I look at the spacing for how it works here, and then I look at the spacing for Why You'll Love Us, and I see this like super tight to the top, and this, this is a little different. So consistency and spacing, it does matter when you're trying to work through these different options. So like regardless of some of these, this one doesn't have it, but these do, and like in all of these cases, I think that you want to find a solution for that, because right now that's just not it's not working. um, and it is a little larger, like, so you've got this is at 26, this is at 32. Is it 26, 32, is that large enough? I mean, typically these would be, and there's a couple ways you could look at it. 24. Okay, so this is like going with the rule of eights. Like I go 16, 24, 32, 40, or is it, okay, I'm going to keep this at 26 or whatever, but this is going to be 40 instead, right? And maybe I don't need it spaced out. Or maybe I need it, another thing you could do here is, okay, so maybe I want it 32, but instead, and I'll add auto layout to this just for ease of doing this, maybe I need to add a background and add some padding to this. So again, I'll add 16 and 16 to each side, and maybe 8 and 8. Maybe I'll make this 24. If you're picking up on anything, everything I'm doing is in basically 8s. So I'm trying to really stay really close to that. That's a little tight. So, but this background that you've got, maybe you flip it around. Maybe you say, hey, this fill, I'm going to use this, and then on the text, I'm going to make the text white, and maybe that's how you get that separation that helps you kind of organize this. But what you're really struggling with is the spacing of this circle encroaching into the Why You'll Love Us area, and then the alignment of this, right? That's the real problem. The problem isn't the label, it's the off kilter circle, and how do we deal with that, right? So this is where I tend to look at something like this, Why You'll Love Us, and maybe that allows you to not worry about it. And now you can kind of come back and say, oh, you know what, and this is something that's kind of interesting too. I see that the color usage here is basically making this its own section, and it seems like the Why You'll Love Us section is together. So maybe this should be deeper, like this. And maybe what we're really saying is there's no real spacing, like that just kind of goes, and like there's no spacing, but we allow the circle to kind of give us the spacing that's necessary. And then you come down and, okay, this is a different treatment, but maybe what we get here is like there is no color on this one, for instance. So you go from having this section here on Why You'll Love Us, and something else that you might want to look at is like, okay, so this labeling, if I stayed with this labeling, would I want to do how it works the same way? And then would that run into the button, right? Like now I'm creating problems for myself, right? But I want you thinking about this as you're pushing these around. And the idea again is just like, how can we push these further apart? And I realize I'm kind of going long on this, but when you're trying to come up with options and you're trying to push things in different directions, like you have a basic sense of the style that you're wanting to work with. You're wanting to work with this green and this tan and you've got these illustrations, you have the content, you've got the content figured out, right? The content, that's the most important thing. But what do we do? What do we do to come up with a different presentation from this one? Like, this one exists, and that's great. I want you to test it. But now I need something different here in slot 2. Okay, well, slot 2 kind of like has a slightly different lower design, but the top of it's basically the same. Okay, well, let's just stay with that. What can we do completely different for slot 3? Oh, well, wait, slot 3 is really like the other two. So when we get over here, I really want, well, I want the third option to just go nuts. Okay, let's like push things around and make it do its own thing. And part of making it do its own thing is solving for the design errors like these that were in the other design. Okay. So that said, I want to throw that out there as the push. Like you have areas that you're really sold on, like this, how it works. Great. All right. You can you can keep one thing the same throughout. But these other things, I need them to really push in different directions. And then let's see what we get back in preference testing. A lot of people are going to look at this and they're going to react to the top. Okay. So what I really want to see here from you is, can we get some variation on this hero unit beyond just content, photo next to it, content, photo next to it, content, photo next to it. Go crazy. Photo, content next to it. Or photo, content under it. Like, flip things around and see what else you can come up with, okay? And then, again, I think that there's some subtlety that, pairing these things together helps solve for the weird circle issue and this thing in particular. And then when you come down, if this is working with you, why you'll love us, well, keep it. And does that mean it can't be? It has to be basically left aligned? No, you could go wide with it, I think. What the one thing I'll say is, when you go wide with it, you obviously notice like it gets like kind of crazy. But it also like gives you a tool to like center things up with. Because now I've made this banner. Well, I kind of made it the width, but I would build this. I would build this more better if I was doing it for real. But here, like now I can bring this into alignment, and I guess that's the other question I've got is like, what is the grid for this? Is it there and there basically? Because if that's the case, like I could just measure this in or measure this in. Oh, how exactly is that working? And then that comes down. Obviously, you want to like wrap quality food at an affordable price. Okay, great. And now we come down here and it's like, okay, well, yeah, but what can I do to make these better? And is this a spot where I go, hey, you know what? Maybe I can center these. And I just say, okay, well, you're this wide and you're this wide, and just some design decisions to make as you're working through. But I do believe that, whoa, hey. I do believe that coming up with some different options for these areas down here and for the hero unit, that will give you an opportunity to put something in front of the user for your preference test that's a little different than what you have already. Okay? All right. All right, folks. I like workshop and visual design. I'm a visual designer by trade. That's where I started. So, of course, I'm going to nerd out on stuff like that. But I also know that when I used to have to do this every night when I did cover design. I'd have to put like 8 options on the board for the team to choose from. And the idea was, how fast could I push in different directions and give us some meaningful options to look at. And I would have like my boss would go, you know what, back to the drawing table with these, because these are all basically just tweaks on the same idea. I need to see options. You're not showing me options. You're showing me the one idea that you like, and you're sticking with that. Show me options. So I want to get options in front, because I think that is where you spur both creativity and you build better design solutions. Okay? When you begin to push, you find things, and I'm wanting you to find things, and that really goes for all of you. If you're watching this video and you are working through a design and you are staying in your lane, and you always, I have this discussion with my kid all the time. Like, the first option is very rarely the best one. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 8 options deep. That's where you find the magic. Okay. So I'm hoping that you all dig a little deeper, push yourselves to look for the non-traditional, non-obvious solution, and I think you'll find better answers. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for today's edition of the Feedback Loop. Got meetings with some of you coming up, here in like 5 minutes. So I will chat with some of you very soon, and for the rest of you, have a great weekend. I'll see you next week. Take care.